Lately, I've been catching myself feeling behind in life. And I've been sitting with that word for a while now because the more I think about it, the more anxious I'd be. But I'd ask myself, why? And more importantly, why am I feeling this way? On a track I never agreed on? Comparing myself to others? And why am I comparing myself to others when I know it'll only make me feel bad? And I'm guessing you're also feeling the same. This happens a lot whenever I open Instagram, and that made me spend less and less time there in the end. But a lot of us are feeling this way because of social media. In fact, there's already decline in activity for these apps in the news, such as zero postings. So I'd like to talk about it. Not to fix it, I haven't fixed it. I just to look at it for a while. See what's actually there. Here's where this comes for me. I've always been a little competitive, a habit from school, I think, wanting to prove I could still make it in life. Before social media was really a thing, that was manageable. I worked on myself, passed college, got a job, and did the usual path. I was doing pretty well. I didn't feel like I was in a performance meter. But when social media became a thing, I'd often look back on my life and feel as if I'd done something wrong. Like I was behind. I compare myself to old friends with successful businesses, my love life, the holidays they went on, how pretty they are, the jobs, the money, and the list just kept going on. To the point I got genuinely anxious and depressed about being behind in life. Even though I had a good job, even though I had a great support system, I still felt overwhelmed by everything. And don't get me wrong, I'm not jealous of them. I'm happy for their happiness. I'd never want anything bad to happen to them. Bless their hearts and their lives. I wish nothing but the best. But at some point, I'd catch myself wondering, when will it be my turn? When will my work take off? Why have I not married yet? What did I do wrong in my life? Which is funny because when I actually look at my life, as mentioned, I have a good job and I have close friends who would have my back. I have a family who loves me, got to have food on the table and a roof above my head. I'm not behind on any of those things. And yet, every time I open social media, I feel as if I'm missing something. Sometimes I feel like a failure for not having those, yet others do, to the point I kept questioning myself. What went wrong in my life? What did I do that led me here and not there? How come they got it and I don't? So that's where this is coming from, which is what I want to discuss in this video. So okay, we know that comparison is a thief of joy. We have heard about it millions of times. We all have our own timelines. Everyone's paths are different. They don't have the life you have. Yet, why do we still do it? Comparing ourselves to friends, families, neighbors, whatever. I catch myself doing it, even though I know it'll make me miserable. And then I'd be looking for more people to compare myself to, just to make myself feel good, only to fall into the comparison trap again and make myself feel worse instead. Apparently, there's a study for it. According to Very Well Mind, there's a psychological theory called social comparison theory, which examines the process people use to evaluate their actions, accomplishments, and opinions in comparison with those of others. And this theory was explored in 1954, where psychologist Leon Festinger found that people would judge others as their KPI in life, hence comparing ourselves to others. It's basically like school, where we'd compare our subject performance, but in life now. Who got married first, who got the better job, got better business, and many more. To explain further, there are two types of comparison. One is called the upward comparison, where we'd compare ourselves to others whom we think have a better social status than us, and we'd use them to measure our performance in life. Usually, this will drive and motivate us to do better to meet their quote-unquote status. And then there's downwards comparison, where we'd compare ourselves to people whom we think are not in a similar social status to us. Sadly, we do this to boost our ego. So as you can see, no matter how many times we tell ourselves not to compare ourselves to others, there'll be an automatic response to keep doing it because we believe that comparing ourselves to others is our key performance in life. It's how we think we know how we're doing in life. Now that school days are over and maybe you're in school, we'll still compare ourselves to others because we always want to know how we're doing and we'll either feel good or bad. But as the quote says, comparison is a thief of joy, and most of the time, it'll really steal your peace and joy. Now, bring social media into the picture. Not only are we now, quote unquote, competing with the peers, but we're also competing with the whole world, especially on Instagram. TikTok for me, not really because I don't follow anyone there, and that's a blessing, except that app is mindless scrolling, brain frying, so I kind of stopped. Anyways, so yeah, I mostly have issue with Instagram. And I admit I'd catch myself doing this, especially on the app, especially when I'm alone, when there isn't anyone to reassure me or tell me that everything is fine or the sky isn't falling. Putting myself in the accelerated class without knowing what I'll get myself into and kept going to the point I'd be motivated to go out there and work on something I don't believe I'm meant to do, and then burn myself out and spiraled into an emotional roller coaster of feeling like a failure and behind in life. Which brings us to the actual question. We feel behind in life, okay, but behind according to whom? Although comparison could be good to measure some performances, I feel like it has done more harm than good these days, especially when we're comparing our lives to others. Like, we thought by 25 we're supposed to get the better job or get a spouse, get a house, and by 30 you should be leading a team and all sorts of those things. It made me wonder who made these ideas of by a certain age we should be doing something, because I think those kinds of comparisons, some of them, have already expired in life these days. Like a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with my colleague about how Gen Z may have had the biggest impact on social skills because of the pandemic. She told me how when she was in her early 20s with the rest of her friends, she'd go out there to party, go to bars, mingle with everyone, and earn quite enough to go on a vacation or rent an apartment for herself. But we couldn't do what they did now at their age. We'd probably get a fraction of what they got in their early 20s, at least for me. And I think I can speak to most Gen Zs that we were in lockdown during the pandemic, and I was also fresh out of college. I was stuck in the house, worried about my job because the pandemic forced us all to close, got a mental health problem since I was doom scrolling until a brain rot. Yes, I know it's my fault. And it's not like it's our fault too because the world was closed. We entered a world where everything was at its lowest point. No wonder Gen Z is thought to be the most depressed. Not all were hit by the impact, but the majority were. And as we're trying to pick things up, we'd see social media and found people who were blessed and lucky to be on track with their own lives, got married, got a good job, business is running well. Don't get me wrong, bless their hearts. I'm certain they all deserve those blessings. But there will also be a whisper in our heads going, hey, when are you going to get those? I thought we did the same as them. Something like that. And how did we know how they were doing? Social media. And so this also answers the question I've brought up and the theory I discussed. We made these matrix performances in our heads. It's all in our heads. No one's a failure. In fact, that word shouldn't be in the dictionary once we graduated from school, because everyone's on different path. And leading to my next point, lives are different. Here's a strange thing I've started noticing about myself when I scroll past someone's photos, like their weddings, job promotions, and the business they successfully made. And then that sinking behind in life feeling started creeping in. I'm not actually reacting to them, but more of reacting to the deadline I didn't know I had. Because if I evaluate myself, like if I ask myself, do I really want to get married right now? I think I'm not ready yet. Not right now, at least. I'm open to the idea, but in the state I am, I think even God knows that I need to go on another date first. So, why does seeing pictures of people making it in life make me feel like I've missed something? I think it's because I was already carrying that timeline. I put it there myself and not other people. Those posts, well, they just turned the lights on and made me see something in myself I'd been, I guess, ignoring for a while. And now it feels like the clock is ticking. The friends who built successful businesses, same thing. They worked for it, they earned it, and I'm genuinely glad for them. And yet, there's this small ache afterwards, and I have to be honest with myself about what that ache actually is. It's not really about their businesses, it's about a version of myself I thought I was supposed to have become by 30. Of course, I got hooked up by the 30 under 30 thing. So, yeah, I guess it's in my dream that as well. Imagination. I guess I got derailed at some point. That's why I'm not there yet. Or I'm not meant to be one. I don't know. Okay, but the point is, in a strange way, the person I'm comparing myself to isn't really them at all. The friends of photos is just friends in the photos, living their lives, sharing moments, doing nothing wrong. The one I'm actually comparing myself to is a composite I'm building in my own head, bits of their lives, plus my own assumptions about what those bits mean, and a deadline I picked up somewhere between school and now and never put down. Except the report card now is about life. I'm the one who thinks I feel behind, and I'm the one who scored them. I made a report card that never exists, and that makes things so much harder on myself. And I picked these up on comparing myself to others through schools, parents, society today. Pick any of them. All of them, I guess. But I can't trace it back to a specific moment when I agreed to join this school, and I accepted this. That's the part that keeps me up, and I have to leave this school. With that said, how do we practice gratitude and not compare ourselves to others? Truth to be told, I don't think we can ever stop comparing ourselves to others. It's inevitable, even when we get off social media, when we get out there, so long as we're in this world. However, we can reduce the habit of comparing ourselves to others and be grateful for what we have and improve on our own terms. And this time, compare ourselves to our past. So, what I can say is that we can start something small, like reducing social media usage, enough with the doom scrolling and brain rotting. In other words, shameless plug, unoptimizing our lives. No more formulas on how to make it work, no trying to get control because, as the saying goes, man plans, God laughs. Then start looking at your real life surroundings. Got food on the table daily? Check. Got clothes? Check. Able to pay the bills? Check. Able to go out and hang out with friends? Check. Like, these little things are something we often miss out. Heck, I bet famous people would wish simplicity like us. For me, I'm still practicing gratitude, and sometimes I'd miss it and catch myself comparing to others again. I'm Catholic, so what I did was pray in my heart, asking God to help me control my comparison habit, take my anxiety away, and that my life is in His hands. In a way, letting go of control. As Dave Chappelle also said, we can't change the world, but we can make a corner pretty nice. But most of all, it is to compare ourselves to our past. That's our key performance indicator of life, not according to the internet or anyone else. We evaluate ourselves, and that's self reflecting. Go back to see how far you've gone through. These are the moments that I'm practicing to reduce my habit of comparing myself to others. I'm still practicing them, but it's not easy either. I definitely felt a lot better than I was when I burned out and compared myself to others. That's all for now. I hope you learned something here. And according to my analytics, a lot of you new viewers aren't subscribed yet. So if you can just check to see if you are, I'd appreciate it so much. Plus, we'll get to chat like this every week, like we're friends. All right, I'll see you in the next one.